to a quick tutorial on how to use TriExporter to extract your 3D models and bring them into a 3D printing application such as Meshmixer. Now, what I did, I was hoping to get this up earlier, and as you can see from my posts in the relevant Facebook message, I had some difficulties because I forgot how to set it up in the new system. After a lot of trial and error, I've got it working again. So first things first, you're going to want to open up your Eve client and then go into your shared cache. Hang on, scratch that. Go into your settings and click download everything. Now I've got Ryan running with DX9 at the moment. Maybe you need DX, you can do it with DX11, I don't know. I've set it up to run with DX9 because that's how I used to use TriExporter. So yeah, first things first, make sure you've got download everything clicked. You'll go through a download process and you'll download all the extra files. As you may have noticed, your Eve client shrunk in recent times, going from a whopping 14 gig down to about, I think it was just under half a gig. And that's why they've moved all of those assets off your computer. But you can re-download them, which is what I've just shown you there. Next on the question, in case you're wondering what spurred this video on, as you can see, I put this post up on Facebook recently with the 3D printed version of Kronos, and there was a bit of a request to create, how do you do it, can I get this model? Well, I'm releasing this video today so you can sort it out yourself and get what you want when you want. Next on the list is getting the relevant software. So you're going to need two things to get started with this. You're going to need TriExporter, and you're also going to need Meshmixer. Now I'm going to put links for both of these softwares in the description below, and you'll be able to access them through there. Now, the TriExporter file here, I just downloaded it, unzipped, run it all, double checked it, got it working, and then I've deleted it to start again for this video, and we'll get started. So you download TriExporter, it comes in a zip folder. Extract your TriExporter. I'm just putting it here for this sake. So as you can see now, it's got its own little folder. Open up TriExporter for the first time, and you will be, it's pulled from cache. I probably should have restarted my computer. Anyway, I can show you now how to do it. My home Eve folder is not in the same location as the default. Mine's in a different one. I have it on its own folder. So I go into my solid state drive, C drive, open up the Eve where I have Eve installed, go to the shared cache folder, scroll down to the TQ and select that and hit OK. Now it takes a little while, and then it'll pop up with this little folder here, the plus res. This will give you access to the file structure that TriExporter has unpacked, if you will. To show you where I got the Megathron hull / Kronos / Vindicator from, go into DX9, go to models. Now it's obviously a ship, so then we go down to Galente and then to battleship. So as you can see, you've got to go deep into the file structure to find stuff. Now these three ships here use your Dominix, your Hyperion and your Megathron. I know from memory and from experience, the Megathron folder is this one here. Now, as you can see, there's quite a list of objects in here. I believe the best one to go to start off with, you're going to want the GR2 files. The GR2 files being essentially the mesh that your ships in Eve are built on. Now, I believe I used the T2 GR2. As you can see, I'll go full screen, doesn't really matter because it doesn't expand the window because it's just a low weight software created by a couple of fans, and then you're going to need to put a skin on it. Now, got a couple of options. I believe I used, I can't even remember what I used now, but I went for a heftily sized one. So we'll grab this one, and as you can see, it's actually put in all of the model textures themselves. No colors per se, but it does have all of the skin textures, like where the hull changes are and the cutaways for the lighting, etc. Once you've got what you want there, you go up in here to File, and then you go Export Model. Now, for operation with Meshmixer, you're better off using a OBJ, otherwise known as an object file. Some other programs such as 3D Studio Max, Maya, they can use other, I think they can use the 3ds files. But for this sake, as you can see, we've already got Megathrons exported, so we'll just go test for vid, and the export's complete. So we'll just minimize that for now. Bring up our Meshmixer. Pretty simple, really. It looks like it's a fairly simplistic program, but at the same time it's quite powerful. It does take some time to do commands, like my computer's not exactly a Rust bucket, but it's not exactly the best thing out there. It's no Xeon processor, but just to give you an idea, we'll start off and we'll go test for bid obj, and we'll open that, and there is your file. Now the next thing you're going to want to do is to analyze it. Now what this will do, hit inspector. Now what this has done here is it's recognized defects essentially that it needs to fix up for it to be exported to a 3D printer. Now what I did here is I dropped it right back, should I say right up, maximized it. It did take a while, as you will soon see. Hopefully I can set this as like an X2 when I put it into YouTube. If not, I'll put on some dodgy music overlay. As you can see there, it completely balked it. Now we should be able to undo like so. It's a bit of trial and error here getting it right. Auto repair all at small threshold 0, and let's see what happens. Now it's taking a little bit longer this time, and hopefully it's because it's going to succeed. And we'll do it again and again. Let's knock it up just one notch, go auto repair all, and see what happens. So this is what I mean by trial and error. So it's knocked it down a fair bit now. As you can see, it's still the basic shape, and this is pretty much getting it up ready for printing. So you can continue doing that over and over and over again until it's to a point where you can print it. Another way to go about it is to go to the print function. Now straight away you can see what it's going to look like coming through a 3D printer. This big gaping hole here is probably going to be an issue. Same on this side. As you can see, this is hollowed out here. So what we can try is hit repair selected, and this is one of those functions that will take a while. Don't think that your computer has frozen, the program stopped working. It's one of those functions that take a god awful long time to complete. Sometimes it happens really quickly, but most of the time it takes forever. Because it's going through and it's rebuilding the model layer by layer by layer by layer, all the way up the spectrum. Now, as a before and after, you saw the photos I placed on Facebook. This is the 3D model in my hot little hands here. As you can see from the micrometer measurements, sorry, should I say the vernier caliper measurements, it's about 145, 148 millimeters lengthwise. The printer I used had a 15 centimeter cubed print area. I used a XYZ DaVinci Junior. I know that there's better printers out there for something like this. If you've got access to a MakerBot, this program Meshmixer will automatically be able to interface with a MakerBot, whereas XYZ's DaVinci Junior will not. You've got to use their proprietary software. But as I said, it's going to take a while to process, and when it does finally complete, you'll be given well, in the case of the file that I created before, which I'll actually open up just in case this repair fails. But I did a lot of inspections and repairs and repairs and repairs, and then finally, when I thought I had it right, I went into here, and I actually failed the first time around when I imported it into XYZware, and ended up coming back home and spending the weekend fixing the file up and re-exporting it into a new STL file, and then taking it from there, and it ended up working out really well. So many thinkings going on here. I did a test repair last night because I was toying around with gun turrets, and I essentially had Eve running, and I was doing my thing while this was doing its thing. But while that's processing, I'll show you what I did. The reason why I say use Meshmixer is this is Autodesk Inventor. You know, this is like a really powerful industry level software for creating three-dimensional models. If I go into here and where did I find it? It was in here, I'm sure of it. Open, import a CAD file from another format, and we'll go down here. I've got it recognizing STL files, right? So there's a 73 meg file there, and that's the one I ended up taking with me to get the whole thing working. So for now, I'll open up this one, and we can see what happens. It is also going to take a long time because remember, my CPU is currently running repair algorithms for Meshmixer. Now, it looks quite dark inside Inventor, and as you can see, it's a little bit chuggy, but the basic file is there. And as with anyone that's used Inventor, you'll know the little thing in the top right hand corner. Make sure it's, yeah, you can rotate and pan and carry on with the file. I'll hold it selected so it's a little bit easier to see it. You know, there's your engine mounts. You can rotate view angles and stuff. Now, with Inventor, it only recognizes it as a shell. And I try doing convert to sheet metal and see what happens. Default thickness, yep, okay. And it's not going to let me do it. Which is what I mean by make sure you use something like Meshmixer. It's designed to work with these kind of files, and you'll have a higher rate of success doing so. So back over to Meshmixer, let's see if it's finished running now. And it's finished. The model has apparently been repaired, but as you can see, I've still got these holes, which is back to the fact that I didn't go through and run that inspection process over and over and over again to get the model back to where it should be. Now, as you can see with my three-dimensional print, I don't actually have those holes. It's a bit hard to see because I'm holding it with my hand up to a webcam, but this is a solid object on the sides. The conning tower is a solid object. There's no holes through it. But yeah, that's pretty much where I go. So once you've repaired it, you can export it, and export it as an STL file. Why? Because that's the file that you're going to need to access, say for example inside XYZ. It needs to be an STL file or it won't recognize it. But to show you, yes, I know I'm going to discard this scene. To show you my work from a prior setup, I'll load up the Megatron mix that I created earlier. A little bit of a As you can see, this one's solid. It doesn't have the hollows at the engine ports or the conning tower. This is the model I actually exported, and for some reason MakerBot won't let me recenter view. There we go. And that's the file there that I printed out here. So that's pretty much it. It all depends on what 3D printer you're accessing. My next point with this particular object is to rescale it back to a size I can use with placing an ATX motherboard in it, and power supplies, graphics cards, liquid cooling components, the whole 9 yards. That'll all go inside this particular case, and that was my plan for the exportation. And I'm also going to need electric linear actuators and stuff like that, because I want to replicate that movement of acting in Bastion mode. Now, just to show you that you can do other models and it's not just the Megathron fluke for me, somebody turned around and wanted a Winmatar item. Good old Winmatar. What was it? Macarial, that's right. So, Battleship, Macarial, they are not Galente, they are... Oh, I can never remember, so I don't fly the damn things. Angel, Battleship. There we are, Macarial. As you can see, we zoomed right in, there's no textures there. So we can go add in... Remember how I said I always try and find the larger texture file first? Medium detail, CD, ARDDS. The GR2 files are the main files, and the DDS files are the skin files. Now we've got the skin on there, and it's probably going to tell me that I need to change things before I go adding other stuff, but we'll just see what happens if we go here. Oh, yeah, it's not going to do anything. But yeah, and that's exporting a Macarial. And just to set it up and show them, so we go exporting an OBJ, a Macarial. I probably spelled that wrong, but export completed. Open up Meshmixer, import Macarial, and there's our pretty Macarial. Now I'm not going to go through the whole process of analysis and inspecting it and repairing it, but yeah, it's very important. This process here, this inspection process, is highly important. Without it, you're going to get those hollows like I had in that other scene, because I didn't run it very often. See what happened there? I lost half the ship. I lost all the central bits just in here. But that's what I mean, is this flat fill mode is you can play around with it, find something that you think works best, and then go from there. Auto repair, let it do its thing, and then it takes time. But anyway, that's pretty much it. Any further dilly-dallying from me is just going to be rehashing what I've already said at the start of the video. If you're wondering, I'm wearing my Anzac Alliance Corp shirt. I am Sergov Drake the Viking game. You can find me flying around with Mercenary Coalition presently. So also don't forget that we've Mercenary Coalition recently, as part of I suppose you could call it a cohesive effort from multiple large alliances, have created the trade network with Basagurn and Tortuga being one of the stations in it. I say that one because that's the only one I can ever remember, and that's essentially a nullsec marketplace. They're trying to shift some of that weight away from Dodixie, Amar, Jitter, or is it Renyan? I can never remember the Minmatar one, but yeah, you get the idea. Anyways, I'm going to call it there, and I hope you've enjoyed the video. if you're interested in following the construction of the computer case, leave a message in the chat below this video in Facebook or on the video link in YouTube. Leave a message there. But yeah, I plan on documenting everything, including the costs involved with creating it and final layouts, design choices, etc. But I hope this video has been of use to you, and I am keen to see what everybody else does with this, with your new knowledge about how to 3D print Eve models. Thank you, and have a good one.